Hello and welcome to Vamas. I'm here with the regular contenders, Olumide Ajayi and Abolade Olusoya. And I guess we have to start with Barcelona since that's what we've been talking about. And obviously Barcelona went into the game against Celta Vigo with expectations of keeping their 100% record, but they were thumped 4-1. Nolito got a goal, Aspas got 2 goals. Neymar pulled one back, but Guidetti made it 4. And I was extremely disappointed with how they played. I felt they were outrun and overplayed by Celta Vigo, and I think they just deserved the 4-1 victory. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, I think it was definitely deserved. They seemed to beat Barcelona at their own game because they were playing very high press, and they were. It just seemed like they would just have more belief in them than Barcelona did. Even though Barcelona missed too many chances, but you could tell that Barcelona were never really going to win that game.
I didn't really watch the game, so I can't necessarily comment on it. I was just shocked when I saw the scores. And I was just I was watching the Madrid game. I thought that would be more entertaining, but obviously I was wrong.
Yeah. And to be honest, it's really not too much of a surprise to me because, for example, Celta Vigo, they've had a good run in the first part of the season. I think they've won 4 and drawn only one, which is Las Palmas, and they beat Barcelona last season in the Camp Nou, so they're a really good side. But what do you guys think of their aspirations? Do you think they'll come between 4th or 6th, or do you think they're gonna end up in mid-table like last year?
I think maybe at the most they could probably get 8th position or something. I think they'll drop off soon enough, obviously, because there's only been a few games. But yeah, I don't really think they can keep it up. The kind of tempo, the kind of tempo that they've kept up so far, and because now that they're playing so well, other teams will prepare they're doing something good now, rather than it always being a surprise how well they're playing. So
yeah, I reckon
they finish 8th.
We'll have to upgrade that scouting reports and everything like that, other teams to see how the hell did they do against Barcelona. Make sure that doesn't happen to them. Because if they can beat Barcelona at their own game, then watch out. They can.
Yeah, but do you think other teams will be equipped for that? And also, like you said, they're going to finish 8th. What teams do you feel will finish above them? Because Sevilla don't look good at the moment. Valencia, although they got a win today, they don't still look as good as they did last season. Maybe Villarreal might compete with them for the 4th spot, but at the moment, I'm struggling to find teams that will actually finish above them.
Yeah, I think that's going through Chelsea. Let's hope that Sevilla, especially, I think they should be nowhere near where they are, in terms of performance-wise. It's actually quite sad. The last 2 home games, just the performance-wise, it's been so terrible. I just don't understand why they're so bad after being able to qualify, won the Europa League and now are in Champions League.
Yeah, and what about Valencia? We raved about them last season. Rodrigo looks a shade of the player he was in Benfica. Obviously, they've lost Otamendi, but the problems don't seem to be at the back. The problem seems to be penetration to the attack because they've scored only 3 goals so far out of 5 games, which is their lowest scoring season since 59-60.
Wow, I didn't know that. But yeah, I don't know. I think soon enough they'll get it right. I feel like it's only been 6 games or something like that. There's 30 more games to play, in 32 more games even to play in the league. So it's and teams normally do better. I'd rather have my team have a slow start and pick up momentum throughout the season and finish well, rather than the other way around. Because the team who finishes on a high usually finish higher in general anyway.
Yeah, and there were chants in their game last week for the coach to go. Do you agree with that?
No, I think it's just been quite fickle. It's too soon.
Yeah.
Give him at least till Christmas. If you know what I mean, give him at least January, so he's at least at a good position where you can realistically plot where they're going to finish.
Yeah, and to add more story to the chants, because like it seems like there's chanting because they got a bad result, but the chants go way deeper than them just shouting at a manager for having bad results. Because like over the summer, the president of Valencia, Amadeo Salvo, who saved the club, left, and he left because of disagreements with the coach, because the coach was basically picking players without informing the president or the sporting director, Fete, who was a Champions League finalist, Europa League winner, and La Liga winner, and obviously adored by the fans. And because of that, Mr. Lim, the owner of Valencia, let the president go and also let the sporting director go. And I feel because Nuno is obviously friends with Jorge Mendes and has brought a couple of players from the Mendes camp and friends with Peter Lim, like he's a target for the fans.
Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, like Valencia are what, playing Champions League football, like
yeah,
like they need to be a bit realistic of how quickly their fortunes, how quickly everything is gonna be all amazing and back to like the good old days, because they need to think of where they've come from in the last few years to now be back in the Champions League. Like I feel like fans always get a little bit too carried away. And they don't have any sense of, appreciation for what's, really going on. They're just very quick to turn on you once things aren't going well. But if you look over the past couple of years, you see how much progress has been made. So I feel like they should be a little bit more patient.
And also, they have the youngest squad in La Liga. So in some ways, it's like they're already overachieving being in the Champions League. Because like with that young of a squad, you expect them to gel later on and maybe compete for the La Liga later on and be in the Champions League regularly. But for now, is Europa League their competition? Should they be too upset if they get into the Europa League, aside from the money?
I think they might actually, if they don't handle the Champions League properly, they might actually finish lower than the expected prediction. So if they don't handle the rigors of playing, traveling, and playing European games, and playing obviously tougher opposition, and maybe they might face every week in La Liga. Like, I think it will be key because, like you said, they are a young squad, so that would factor in as to how the manager can keep them in tune and focused.
Yeah, I agree. Like I'd be surprised if they went further than the group stage in the Champions League and still managed to get a Champions League spot in Spain as well.
Yeah.
Because as you can see, the competition is high.
And it's also higher this season because obviously, like previous seasons, Villarreal, they've started well, but like right now they have 4 good strikers, although 2 are injured. They have Soldado, Bakambu, Leo Batistao, and Adrian, who used to play for Atletico. And it's going to be hard for Valencia, to be honest. And I just want to go back to Celta Vigo for a while, but like the fact that Celta beat Barcelona and the fact that Barca and Real Madrid, they've gotten 3 different teams that put 4 past them in this year alone. What does that say about how competitive the Spanish league is?
I mean, obviously, as you can see during Champions League, etc., you can see that especially compared to like the English league, Spanish league, I think it's fair to say now that the Spanish league is at the top level rather than the Premier League. Because you can see how, they're playing, especially in Europe. There's a massive gap in quality, and even the team who are killing the Premier League, like Man City, will go and play a Juventus team who aren't playing well in Italy at home in England and still lose. Like, it just, these things don't happen by coincidence. Like, it's not a lucky result. There's a certain element of just a gap in quality, I think.
Okay. And let's move on to Real Madrid because they're top of La Liga at the moment. They were in action against Athletic Bilbao. Keylor Navas came into the game with a record of, I think it was about 5 goals without conceding a goal. Obviously, the record is gone, but importantly, they've got the win. Benzema has been absolutely amazing this season. They scored in 5 games consistently, and in all the games they scored in, Real Madrid have won. And ever since he came into the team, they look totally different. They look more fluid. And what's the key to his form this season compared to previous seasons where he hardly used to get goals? He used to be more in the build-up play, but in finishing department, he wasn't that good.
I feel like he's a
I
bit
think
more
sometimes when going forward,
selfish.
sometime.
Bob?
Sorry?
Bob, go on.
Oh yeah, I feel like he's a little bit more selfish now. There's a less. I feel like under Benitez as well. There's less emphasis on individual play than there is on just team football. So I think that's why he's getting a lot more joy playing up front, because he's playing like a striker should play. He's getting in the right positions to get tap-ins, etc. Rather than, I feel like under other managers, he was always like used in a link-up way to play with the two wingers who are like goal-scoring wingers. So it was, Benzema would get the ball, but unlike in other teams where if your striker gets the ball, you expect him to, turn around, shoot, or be a little bit more selfish. For him, because he's playing with such good players on the wing, his role is almost sacrificed just to supplement them, to hold the ball up when they get in good places or to get the ball and look for a pass. But now it seems like he's playing more as an actual striker, and I think he's benefiting from that.
And Olumide, you watched the game. How are Real Madrid able to win this game? Because this is the first time they've won in the new San Mamés.
It was really good play. Isco impressed me, and Modric was particularly decent as well. It was going forward, like Ronaldo, when Bilbao were attacking, they had a 4-4-2 shape. So you see Ronaldo and Benzema side by side, up front and everything. And the two goals, I think the second goal was attacking. I'm sure Ronaldo would have would have celebrated as much because he was literally right behind Benzema and would have loved to get that 500 goal for club and country in his career. But it continues. But it was a very decent game. Bilbao did have glimpses as well. They took their goal and their chance really well. Good of a header. But I think, Benzema has really discovered himself this season, and he really does have to pull his weight because aside him, then they'll be playing Ronaldo up front and playing Gareth Bale up front, which is more or less not that ideal, position. So Benzema really needs to be fit and firing.
And let's talk on Ronaldo. He's scored 8 goals this season, but it's a bit misleading when you consider the fact that he's only scored in 2 games. So what's the problem?
This is also my argument with La Liga. No, that cannot happen in the Premier League. It doesn't happen. Like, it's not this Lewandowski 5 goals in 9 minutes. It doesn't happen in the Premier League. That's why I say there's still a massive gap between big teams and other teams in those leagues. Like, it's bizarre the kind of things that happen. Because in the Premier League, you score a hat trick, you're literally the guy to score a hat trick in the Premier League.
Yeah. But like, is there a problem with him, or is it the way Benitez is playing, or is it just the jitters? Because like he scored the 5 goals against Espanyol, scored 3 against Shakhtar, and then when it came to the games against Granada, where he expects him to score a hat trick, but he didn't, and the game against Athletic Bilbao, where he didn't score and he didn't take his chances. Like, is it the 4.99 mark? Is he struggling because of that?
It might weigh on him just a little bit. I think outside couple of games too, definitely.
Yeah, I feel like there's nothing really to worry about with Ronaldo, because it's like he's Ronaldo. He's proved it too many times, but anyone to ever really doubt him. So it's just a matter of time. That's all.
Yeah. And a word on Rafa Benitez. The team has been playing well. Defensively, they've looked really solid. And do you think they can actually challenge for La Liga this season?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're Real Madrid. They're always going to be in and around there anyway. It's just a matter of, do you have enough to really get over the line? Like, they're always going to be there for forever. but see if they really have enough to get there, like, during the end stages. You don't really have enough, in those times of the games when they're not playing well. They don't have enough characters in their team to pull through and win games they're not supposed to win, etc. So I guess we'll just have to see.
And let's move on to the Premier League, and we'll start with Anthony Martial, who has been impressing everyone.
I thought his name was Henri. But okay.
Shut up. It is not Henri.
4 games, 4 goals. As Giroud scored 4 goals. Aguero scored 4 goals. As Costa scored 4 goals.
Calm down. Aguero has been injured 1. Costa is an animal 2. Giroud is shit 3. So Martial is actually
he's deadly. That's the thing I like about him most. He's not missing. Like, every chance he gets in front of that goal, there's only one outcome. So, and doing this when your team has paid such a big price for you, when everyone was doubting you, even I was doubting him. I thought we were just panic buying, which it might still be a panic buy, but we just kind of got lucky. But because I always knew him, obviously because of Football Manager and stuff, I know who he is. Don't get me wrong, but I didn't think he was that good. Because the thing is that he might, kind of fade away during the season, etc. But he's definitely done himself a favor by like playing so well at the start, and he's definitely earned the respect, I think, for now of like his price tag, etc. Because he is only 19, so I feel like he has a lot of potential.
I think
why is there such a big surprise with him? Because like he obviously had a very early preseason. He played a skin out against Valencia where he absolutely tore them apart. Although Monaco couldn't get through, so like he's a good player. Like he's shown it.
I think it's because it's not necessarily that he didn't have potential. Everyone knew that, but I don't think because obviously he only had like 15 goals in 70 games in Monaco. But I also think that was due to the fact that a lot of the times I would get a glimpse of Monaco. He was always playing on the left wing, and they always had someone else up front. So I think they weren't necessarily utilising him as much as they could have. This, especially last season, anyway, because I think towards the end of the season they actually started playing him up front, and I think he scored like 8 goals in 12 games or something like that towards the end of the season. So he obviously showed his worth there, which is fair. But I feel like I just didn't think he'd be this clinical, and like he's just so in front of goal. He's just so nonchalant. Like he's just does what he's supposed to do. Like it's nothing fancy. It's just very Henri.
Yeah. One day you want to get in?
Stop. Well, for me, I think at this point, right, the hype seems to be very much real. Like, I'm literally, 1 week away. If he scores this weekend, he's going to be on my fantasy team. I'm going to bench freaking Benteke, the captain, beside Mahrez, because he is just playing out of his skin. I just hope he gets injured before Manchester United face Arsenal, so that we will have to.
Because
we'll have Twitter implode.
There is nothing that
it's not
more than a Frenchman destroying his team. I'm telling you, there was nothing that would get as more than a Frenchman.
It's not even Wenger or that Frenchman. It's the fact that Twitter would implode like the arguments and banter.
Yeah.
I just cannot.
Yeah, compare Martial with Henri. But let's take a step back and let's look at Manchester United institutionally. And they're the closest to Man City in the race for the title. But they lost to PSV in the Champions League. And how far do you see Manchester United competing with Man City for the title?
I reckon we'll probably get second or third. But I don't know if we'll challenge City, because the thing is, to me, defensively, there's still problems all over the team. So I'm not even getting carried away, because I feel like someone like Martial right now, he is he is the difference right now between what we really are. If you know what I mean, like the way he's been playing and scoring, it's kind of taken the
And De Gea.
and De Gea. It's kind of taken away. It's kind of blinded people as to the obvious problems with this team. It's defensively, like you know what, like Chris Smalling and whatever have been playing well, but defensively, I still think we're pretty bad. And midfield, like there's no consistency for me anyway.
Yeah.
As good as we can be during matches, we can be just as bad. So I still don't have that kind of trust in the midfield either. And well, up front, if it wasn't for Martial, I don't know what, or Martial,
Martial.
People like to
Shut up.
It's kind of like De Bruyne. Like there's so many ways to pronounce the names, like De Bruyne, De
So-
Bruyne, De Bruyne. Yeah, but the Arsenal have Leicester City over the weekend, right?
Arsenal are going to lose.
Arsenal are going to lose.
I am an Arsenal fan, and that Mahrez guy, I'm scared of him. Like, I am scared. He costs under £1 million, and I'm scared. I'm scared what he's going to do. We have no coconut. If we're going to play Arteta or Flamini, I do not know. Flamini, it seems a better option, obviously, because Arteta is just a nobody at this point. I think Gabriel might still be suspended, or I don't know if he will still be allowed to play, even though they said
His suspension got rescinded, so he'll be available.
No.
Okay.
I think he admitted to violent conduct, so he got one game. So he got a 1 game ban. Right? I saw that today.
Oh, okay.
On Sports. So I think he's banned for 1 game.
For 1 game.
So imagine like Manchester kind of stuff like Jamie Vardy. It's just going to be. It's going to be the most not the most open game, but listen. They've come back. They've scared me so much this season because they've come back from 2-0 down twice.
So even if Arsenal score first, it means nothing.
And
exactly, it means not. It means absolutely nothing because then.
Go on.
Yeah, sorry. Because then, Wenger will probably just bring on, another midfielder to try and, consolidate and save up. And then that Mahrez guy is going to dribble. I'm scared of Mahrez. Like, honestly, I have him down right now to win PFA Player of the Year. I have him down right now. If he stays fit, I have him down right now to win PFA Player of the Year.
But what's the hype about? Like, it's linked with United, Arsenal, Barcelona. Is it that good?
Confidence thing. That's what I'm saying. Confidence just changes players. I'm telling you. Confidence lets you reach your true potential. Because a lot of players, they won't be playing well, blah, blah, blah. It's like when strikers just come out of nowhere. Like, who was that striker for Wolfsburg last season?
Oh, Bastos.
Yeah, at one period, he scored a few goals and then his confidence went up.
Yeah.
Before you know it, he started scoring goals and fun. Like, football's just like that. Once you're confident, things just happen to go your way, and you just force things to go your way at times. And, you try tricks or you try things that you might not have tried before because you don't want to mess up. So it's that kind of thing, and then they just come off, etc.
And with Leicester City, how much of their form is due to Claudio Ranieri? And do you think they can keep up this form? Because like Leicester City, like we've discussed, they're very similar to Celta Vigo in that after they got that big result against Manchester United last year, they had a terrible run, similar to Celta Vigo after they got the big results against Barcelona. So do you think they can continue this run and maybe finish top half of the Premier League?
I think the coach has been tremendous. I enjoy watching Leicester play. Leicester, Swansea, they sort of game. Even West Ham, although
West Ham.
1 or 2 players, was like they're actually fun players, fun teams to watch. And
like they play
like Leicester, and the coach has done tremendously.
And let's talk about the Chelsea game a bit because I want to talk about Chelsea. But before that, let's talk about Arsenal first. And they lost to Dinamo Zagreb in the Champions League. And have they shot themselves in the foot of a chance of winning the group or even advancing with that loss?
I don't care. I'm just like Arsenal is just a football club, which in my opinion is like get to knockout stage and lose anyway. Like I don't see them going beyond knockout stages anyway. this current squad, literally. In the Capital One game, he wanted goals against Tottenham. I understand, obviously, bringing on some first-team players, but like a couple of them will be playing, come Saturday. Like Ramsey, more or less played the whole game, and I'm pretty sure you will see him starting on the right, which is so stupid. I don't understand why Asperger does it, but he will start against Leicester on the right. And I was like, where's Chamberlain? Where's, and I just think our strikers are too different. Like, neither of them are clinical, and they just have two different skill sets. Quick and small, like strong and good in the air. Like, that's just two different skill sets, and there's none of them.
Skills. The other one has none.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. In my opinion, neither of them have brains. So let me not make that comparison.
Yeah. And with Chelsea, they beat Arsenal over the weekend, obviously. And is that the win they need to kick on this season?
No. The only reason they won is because they were playing Arsenal, and Wenger doesn't know how to beat Chelsea. That's the only reason. If they'd played any other team, they wouldn't have won. Because that game was just a typical Chelsea Wenger win, in the sense that it's just ugly. Like, there was nothing good about Chelsea's play. When Arsenal had 11 men, Arsenal didn't really play, I think, with the belief that they were actually going to win the game. So, like, there's a certain risk taken, there's a certain, arrogance almost that Arsenal play with at times when you're confident. There's a certain way Arsenal play, but to me, they never even looked like they were going to win the game, even with 11 men.
And
so,
predictions for where Chelsea will finish?
Same.
They won't win the league, no, not with that squad. Man City will win the league, but Chelsea will still get Champions League.
Champions League. So you think
yeah, they'll still get Champions League.
Whoa.
Still gonna beat teams.
Well, West Ham is still in there. Like, West Ham
could
compete for the Champions League. They've won at Anfield.
No.
Payet bought in January. Once he goes, that's the end. But West Ham, come on. It was Southampton last year who were even worse, who are having an even better season. And look where they've, they only got Europa League. Like, it's not that deep. At the end of the season, it'll still be the big four teams that will still be around there. It'll still be Arsenal, City, Chelsea, United.
And let's talk about the pretenders around that big four, Liverpool and Spurs. And firstly, with Liverpool, in the Capital One Cup, they lost.
Ultimate pretenders.
They lost to a team I've never heard of. They won against a team I've never heard about, but you have to go to penalties. Is Brendan Rodgers' job under threat right now?
Yeah, definitely. Especially if the reports are true and Klopp is actually interested. Because if Klopp is interested, they have to get him.
But what happened? Like, what's changed? So obviously Suarez is gone, but obviously, but the tactics might still be there from the season where they finished second. And why isn't he applying the same tactics, especially now he has been taking?
It's not.
I feel like he's trying to.
It's not there.
There's a transfer policy in that club that I'm not sure, because I'm never quite sure in teams. You can never be too sure the degree of power, the amount of power that lasts within a manager towards who actually comes to the club. Because in some clubs, the manager gets most of the say, but in other clubs, it literally is the hierarchy. Like, there's others who have more power than him, who are buying players, etc. So you can never really know if he's buying players he wants. But I feel like he is at Liverpool, and I feel like he's just made a lot of mistakes in the transfer market. And they're buying players, wasting a stupid amount of money on players that are just not producing. Like Lallana, they spent almost 30 million on him. It's ridiculous. Obviously, Firmino hasn't really started, playing to his potential, but it's just looking like most of their signings, even Benteke, I thought he'd be, scoring goals for fun, but it's not looking like that's the case. So I just don't know. There's something about the transfers they've made. They've rarely made any good transfers except from Klein and I don't know.
Oh, you mean this season?
Yeah, this season. Like, besides Klein, I'm not really
Danny
sure.
Ings, maybe?
Well, let's wait and see. Besides Klein, I don't really know if there's anyone they've bought that's really changed any of their hopes, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think, like, it's sort of thing where in the season that came second, you had SAS. They just, like, their chemistry kind of lifted the team. And then Sterling as well.
To be honest, that team, when they came second, to me, was the most exciting team I've ever watched in the Premier League, I think, in terms of attacking football. I don't think I've ever been so... I used to get excited to watch Liverpool games, even when United were playing at the same time. The way they played football was just so, proper, like, to me, anyway, in my opinion, of what proper football is. And I think, like, Rodgers is still trying to play that kind of football, but he doesn't have the players. He doesn't have the caliber of players anymore. But, I mean, Sturridge is back now, so he might change their fortunes a bit.
Yeah. And with Klopp coming in, like, let's say Klopp is to come in within the next 10 days, like, how do you feel he'll fit stylistically with Liverpool? And in terms of what position do you think they'll be able to get at the end of the season if Klopp is
I don't know. They'll have to give someone like him time as well, because he's coming in with a bunch of players he probably doesn't want. So they'll have to give him time. And with someone like Klopp, I'd be worried because I feel like they'll be able to attract they'll be able to attract a lot of good players as well. And Liverpool obviously have money to waste every summer, so they might actually spend it wisely.
And to the other side of North London, where like our second ultimate pretender is Spurs, like they've had a poor start to the Premier League. Like, but they've started really well in Europe. Like, could they challenge for the Europa League this season?
Who's Spurs?
Yes.
Yeah, they'll still be around there. They always get Europa League football, but I don't know, if Kane doesn't get his game right, they might suffer this season because they've put all their hopes on him, I feel like, and it's not coming off well because he didn't really get much of a break during summer, and I feel like the fatigue might be catching up to him, and they don't seem to be holding back because he's starting every game except from Europa League games. So I don't know, if he doesn't start firing, then I think they might find themselves in trouble also.
And the Kane situation is a weird one because it's scoring for England, but correct me if I'm wrong, it's yet to get off the mark for Spurs.
Like, the longer he doesn't score, like, the more nervous he gets in front of goal. Like, there was a chance that he had against Arsenal where it was like a one-on-one and then he tried to take an extra touch or whatever. But if you're confident, you just put your foot through the ball and it's going to, if you know what I mean. There was just an element of he's not quite sure. He's trying to make, like, certain that he's going to score before he'll shoot, which to me shows a lack of confidence. So.
And let's move on to...
Yeah, he was trying to make a perfect angle.
Right. Let's move on to the Bundesliga. Obviously, as you've alluded to, Bayern Munich were in action against Wolfsburg. Both teams were undefeated, but Bayern Munich were able to win that game 5-1. Robert Lewandowski scoring 5 goals within 9 minutes. But crazy goals, like it was a really exciting game at the top of the table in the Bundesliga. And how surprised were you that Lewandowski was able to score 5 goals against such a tough opposition in the Bundesliga, and a position that could potentially beat Manchester United this season?
Well, clearly not tough. We can concede 5 goals in a game. Like, I saw a tweet saying the ball was literally in play for 4 minutes and 33 seconds or something in between the goals that Lewandowski scored. Like 4 minutes and 33, like that is worse than primary school or like
as a manager, I just feel sorry for the Wolfsburg manager because he must have blinked and they had conceded 5 goals. And from then on, obviously the game was over, so he must have just it's that kind of thing that once you walk off the pitch, you just have to forget about it because there's no reason trying to. It's just 5 minutes of absolute madness.
And in this game, like based on the results in this game, do you feel that's evidence that Bayern Munich is going to walk away with the Bundesliga title, or is there more?
They're still going to win it, but I feel like what's it called? But Dortmund will give them a more exciting, challenge not Wolfsburg, because I feel like Wolfsburg just had their kind of spark last season, so it won't really last. But yeah, I feel like Dortmund were giving them a good challenge, but they'll still win it.
So, and with Wolfsburg, like, are they going to do well in Champions League? Do you think they can top the group? No?
Nah. I feel like
they'll go back to
United will still top.
Yeah, they were about to say something before I cut you off.
Yeah, I think Wolfsburg might. It's that kind of thing. Like, I feel like PSV might actually cause a few upsets and either PSV or CSK might come second, and Wolfsburg might come third.
Olymde?
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah, I was going to say that. In terms of Bayern, they can be Guardiola can make them rather hot and sometimes cold. Like sometimes you actually don't know what sort of Bayern. You obviously know they have goals in them, like Müller, Lewandowski, Götze, even one from midfield and stuff. But they just sometimes are not lethal. Like it's almost like they are a blunt knife trying to stab, some of that kind of things. Like the process just takes longer, and it just seems sometimes that whole possession game and not really being direct does harm them in terms of, say, against more attacking teams. So I just think, for example, team who just kind of played out of their skin against City was what Juve and how they were so clinical and stuff. Like, if you can do that against Bayern, just take your chances when they can't play. I think very easy. I think Dortmund can do that this season. They have a lot of energy, but we're to see what happens in terms of being able to put it together on that day.
And they seem to have a lot of fire about them this season. Like, Tuchel obviously wants to prove that, like, he's better than Klopp, because, like, that's the person he'd be compared to. He'd be compared to the Klopp era where he won 2 Bundesligas and got to the final of the Champions League. They're not in Champions League, but with that fire, like, can they win the Europa League? They are the best team there.
In my opinion, I think they're favourites to win the Europa League. And I think they should.
Yeah, I think the Europa League is always a weird one. Spanish teams seem to love it, so I wouldn't bet against a Spanish team winning it.
It would be nice to see Villarreal Dortmund final. Like, they'll both.
Yeah.
I wonder who would drop the yellow.
Spanish team will be there somewhere.
Yeah. And the most exciting league so far has been Serie A. Like, you wouldn't have imagined. Inter on top. And I remember arguing with you, Bob, like, last season, and I was, like, telling you that Mancini is going to be a top dog in Inter, and now they're on top of Serie A. I'm so happy.
Once Juventus get their thing together, don't worry now. They've won it for the past 5 years. They don't even know what it feels like not to win the league. They'll be back on top in the next few weeks, I'm sure.
Yeah, but
this is what
there's a good argument for Inter. They're 9 points above Juventus. They're about 7 points above Roma. They have no Champions League distractions. Roma, they're in an extremely tough group. So sorry, Juventus. So in weeks like this week, they'll have most of their focus on the Champions League rather than Serie A, and that could widen the gap.
True.
I just think they may be, if they're not careful, they may be like Roma last season, because Roma were quite, in blistering form at the start of the season. Then around Christmas time, turn New Year, they just kind of faltered. And I remember, when you see teams like Roma's winning games, you think, oh, let me add them to my accumulator and everything like that. But then start losing games, start drawing games, and I'm like, what happens? And then later on, just didn't cross the line. Juve always finish strong.
And the thing is also with Inter Milan, like, they've won all their games, yes, but they've won them all by 1 goal differences. Like, I think 4 out of their 5 games they've won have all been 1-0. So it's very, they're at the top. They have a 100% record. Yeah, don't get me wrong, but it's only by a small margin. If you know what I mean? Like, they're not blowing teams away, which means later on in the league, they're going to get found out at some point.
Yeah, but it's possible to we've seen leagues won with 1-0, like going back to Atletico Madrid, like Diego Simeone did it.
My team is always winning 1-0. I'll be wary because the second the defense get a little bit leaky, etc., does that mean I'll start losing games?
Yeah. But they have a strong defense this season. They brought in Jammer and they have Kondobia, who's right in front. So
Yeah, true.
there's an argument for that. But like, let's talk about the Italian teams from a different perspective. Because in the top 7, you only have one team that is in Europe, and that's Fiorentina. And why do you think that? Why do you think it's like that?
Do you only have what?
They only have one team in Europe in the top 7. One team that's in Europe in the top 7 at the moment.
I don't know. I feel like it's a bit. I feel like the whole Italy has just been a bit of a mess. But it's just the start. Like as the weeks go on, the teams who have always been around the top will be back up there anyway. I feel like there won't be too many surprises.
Yeah. Eliminate.
But yeah, I think this has been a blip in many ways, and I think Roma and Bayern, Juventus would resume their regular scheduled spots on the Champions League positions later on. I don't think Inter can keep this going because, like Bob said, if you're doing like Man City were, winning convincingly, then you'll be more like secure in the fact that if we just turn in a couple of performances, saying that West Ham's were giant killers or are giant killers. Which I can't wait for them to play away to Manchester United, but Inter, I don't think can hold it on just winning 1-0 every time. Like it's not going to work to their favour every time.
Okay, and let's discuss the other part of Milan, AC Milan. They've been quite good in the start of this season. They haven't really impressed. They're not on top, but they've actually been quite good. And with Carlos Barca and Luis Adriano, is it possible they can get into maybe not the Champions League, but the Europa League back again?
I think it's one of those teams that they're just so inconsistent, so you never really know. It'll take a few more weeks. I mean, yeah, Barca's scoring goals, which is good, but I feel like it'll take a few more weeks before we really know what they're gonna be about because they're just not. They're not fully convincing.
Yeah.
And they seem to concede a few. Yeah, their defense is always just a bit leaky, so you can never really know. But I mean, we'll see. I doubt I feel like they'll be in the top 5. Yeah.
And who do you think is going to be in the top 5? Let's just throw it out
there. Inter, Milan.
In order. In order.
Oh, in order. I'd say Juve, Inter, Roma, Napoli, Milan.
And eliminate?
Juve, Roma, Inter, Napoli.
And Milan? 5th one?
Milan 5th, yeah.
For me, I'll go with... Because I love both Milan clubs to be in the Champions League, but like we're objective here, so I'll go with Roma, Inter, Juve, AC Milan, Fiorentina. And I guess that... What? No, I don't think Napoli will be there. I think Roma will finish top of Scudetto this season.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they have Zeko, who's good. They have Salah. Decent players, but, I mean, I feel like, yeah, it's wide open. We'll see.
We'll see, yeah.
Yep.
And I guess that's it for this week. It's been a wonderful time discussing with both of you. We've had a lovely conversation covering the big 4 leagues in Europe, and we hope to be back soon. Vamos and adios.